Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
6:28 is our time, and as we said before we took the break, we're going to focus on the work that's been happening in the region, and Bitt is very much a part of this. That has been the focus, and I first started hearing about digital currencies because there are various types. Started hearing about digital currencies at Bitt's conference in 2019, and now here we are, where we see that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is developing this EC dollar digital currency. So we have two of the experts with Bitt Inc. who can tell us more about these developments. Want to say good morning and welcome to Sade Jemmott, General Counsel with Bitt Inc. And we also have Stephen Phillips, Vice President for Special Projects with Bitt. Good morning to you both, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, good
Morning. Thanks for having us.
morning.
All right, let's start with explaining to persons exactly what this Eastern Caribbean Central Bank digital currency is. Mr. Phillips?
Sure. So the digital EC dollar is really a digitized form of physical EC notes and coins. If you could imagine, you have bills in your wallet today. This is a digital form of that. It forms part of currency in circulation. It has the full backing of the central bank, and it's a very safe, cheap, and fast form of payment for the citizens of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. So it's something that we're very excited about. There's a lot of potential locked in, and we're looking forward to seeing the pilot go live shortly.
Okay, how long
Excellent.
before we get going with the project? Because you said that the pilot that gets going shortly.
Yes, this summer we have a tentative date in July at the moment, and we're in the final stages of testing. Things are going great, and we're looking forward to delivering on all of the potentials and all of the expectations. We have 8 islands watching us very closely, so it's an exciting time for us at Bitt at the moment.
I could imagine it's not been an easy journey, though, but the Bitt team certainly has continued to work and push through. So, Ms. Gemma, I'd like for you to maybe give us in a nutshell what it's been like coordinating this all from a legal perspective.
Well, thanks, Cassandra. Well, in the case of Bitt, we've really been in a space where there's really a gap in the regulations for this type of thing. As you would appreciate, most of our legislation that speaks to currency speaks to physical notes and coins. But in this respect, we've had a very good relationship with the regulators, and we've been kind of self-regulating, but working very closely with them to make sure that we dot our I's and we cross our T's from a regulatory perspective in anticipation of the introduction of appropriate legislation and regulation. And we're really looking forward to the expansion that we expect to see once that's finally in place.
What does this development mean for the
Excellent.
region? Stephen would have mentioned just now the potential, the efficiency, things that are sounding good. What does it mean for Barbados and the region? You said the central bank is also keeping a close eye on developments in this regard. How can this help our populations? And I mean, it's Eastern Caribbean Central Bank currency, it's not Barbados currency. So what can we in Barbados to expect from this whole development?
Steve, are you going to take that one or should I?
Sure, I'll take that one. I'll start it off. So as
Okay.
you mentioned, it is for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. It's their central bank and their currency, and the vision behind it is to really deliver transformation. And from, in my opinion, it's really about delivering on the vision of that single economy. As you know, in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, you have 8 territories separated by water, and making payments between these territories is often costly, lengthy, and difficult for most people. So imagine you have
Mm-hmm.
a digital wallet, an application on your phone, and you can send money instantly between territories. It delivers on that vision for a single economy where you as a small business owner are not limited to St. Lucia or Grenada. You now have all the territories as your market. So it's really delivering on that vision of the single economy and driving transformation, ease of doing business, and economic growth for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union.
And if I
Well,
can
Sade,
add to what,
perhaps you can add to that, yes,
yeah,
and speak a
thank
little
you.
more on that point right there about the single economy, because that has been a challenge for us as we talk about single market and economy here in the region. Carry on.
Yeah, definitely. How I like to describe it when I discuss it with people is that in the Eastern Caribbean, because of the interest of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in digital currency, we've been able to pursue what I like to call a top-down approach to the implementation of digital currency and all the efficiencies that flow from being able to conduct digital transactions. Whereas in Barbados, as many people may be familiar with our M Money product, we're kind of building from the ground up. And it is our sincere hope that we'll meet somewhere in the middle and be able to eventually facilitate cross border payments from the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union and Barbados, given the incredible amount of trade that happens between Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. In terms of the impact that I sincerely hope happens at the CARICOM level and the wider impact on trade, is that we'll be able to reduce the cost of doing business as well as the delay in doing business in the region. Because as everybody might be aware, when you have to do trade from between currencies, we have at least 8 currencies in the region that don't exchange directly with one another. And that's just within
Mm.
CARICOM. And what that means is oftentimes if you have to do business, let's say between Barbados and Trinidad or the Eastern Caribbean and Jamaica, it means that you have to go through the US dollar. And the intermediary financial institutions, every single step along that way, that creates cost. So even when you think about it on a remittance level, in the Caribbean, we depend a lot on remittances as well as trade. And what we have noticed is that as the status quo right now means that there's anywhere from I think 8 to 23% of loss of just dollar value coming into the economies of the Caribbean just based on transaction fees. So we'd like to see a reduction of that type of leakage, is what I would call it, so that we can have more economic activity actually happening within the region.
Yeah, transaction
Okay.
fees are.
Go ahead.
I was going to say transaction fees are very ridiculous in some cases, especially when you look at simple transfers. You spend a lot of money on them. But we're going to take a break here. When we come back, more questions for you, and I'm sure we're going to get some from social media as well. So we'll take a break here and be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're back with our friends from Bitt who are about to launch a new digital currency across the Eastern Caribbean for the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. We can't wait. And as expected, the questions are coming in. And Margarita, she just said on her Facebook feed, uh, here it is. I do like the technology, but she's asking the question, can everyone handle it? And it's a valid question indeed, because when you look at the rest of the world has really moved ahead with this digital currency. Here in London, when
Yeah,
like you do simple transactions, you go to the barber, I see people paying with their phone. Of course, in Barbados and the rest of the
paperless.
Caribbean, people are still taking out cash and paying for it. Why is the uptake in the region seeing the benefits? Because we've known the benefits now for quite a while. Why is the uptake in the region as far as digital currency and this movement of money still so slow?
Okay, I'll take that one. I think there are a number of factors, and education is one of them. There are some social factors as well around how comfortable people are with trying new forms of payment. You know, money and finance is a very sensitive area, and people are generally risk averse, and they are not necessarily keen on diving in on the deep end, and that's totally understandable. What we've seen with M-Money is people will start to use the technology, start to recognize the advantages and the value, and start to feel comfortable. So they may start with smaller transactions, as we've seen with M-Money, and then as time progresses, you see them paying all of their bills just directly from our app. You see them topping up their phone directly from our app and really leveraging the technology to bring efficiencies in their lives. So, in a nutshell, it's about the value the technology can bring. And when people start to realize that it can aid them, it can aid their business, it can help provide efficiency in their lives, that's when you see the adoption starting to grow.
Okay. I've heard stories, and again, going back to the 2019 Bitt conference, if we think of remote parts of some parts of Africa, not all, this is how people do their business. This is how they're able to make a living because having access to this, at least one cell phone and this digital currency or a digital means of moving money, they are able to make a living. So if we look at people who are not as fortunate or are in a lower socioeconomic area, there is an opportunity for this to help them as well. So maybe you can speak a little more to that. Do you want to deal with that, Sade?
Yes, that's actually the point that I was going to add to what Stephen just said, which is that our a fundamental tenet at BIT is financial inclusion. That's one of our main drivers. Our motto is to enable payments to empower people. So we're very focused on the unbanked, the underbanked, and those who generally don't participate in the financial ecosystem in the way that you would normally expect. And in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean, we do a lot of business in a very face to face, cash based way. And I think that's one of the reasons why, in the context of the current pandemic, we've seen a upsurge in interest in M-Money. I think one of the reasons why that a lot of people may not have been you as many people may not have been using the technology is before is because they didn't have to. Most business in Barbados is conducted in a very face-to-face cash based way. So when you had
Yes.
the advent of COVID-19, where people were forced to distance and unable to transact business in the usual way, it meant that they had to really take stock of the fact that we're not enabled for digital transactions the way the rest of the world has. So I think that has, in some respects, been a silver lining in that people appreciate that now, this is something that's really important, and we can't continue to just be very comfortable doing face to face cash based business. And important thing to remember is in much the same way that email did not completely replace letters, for example, there will always be, at least for the foreseeable future, a place for notes and coins. However, digital currency brings the types of efficiency that electronic email has brought to communication. And we want to see that happen, especially in the region. I actually personally believe that because of the high mobile penetration rate we have throughout the Caribbean, that we are probably the region in the world that could benefit the most from wide scale adoption of digital currencies and facilitation of digital payments. I really expect that it would allow us to leapfrog in terms of key development indicators. And I think that what we're seeing is that as we educate people, and now people are in a headspace to listen more to the benefits and access them, that we'll see the impact that that could bring. And it's especially important for a region like the Caribbean that is so vulnerable to things like natural disasters. We've seen
Yes.
that being able to facilitate and use digital currencies, you see the impact of M-Pesa in Kenya, for example. You are able to not just facilitate those who are marginalized in terms of informal sectors and those who are unbanked and underbanked, but you're able to respond more quickly and get back up and running after something has happened, whether it be a man-made disaster or it is a natural disaster or something like COVID-19.
Okay. Two quick
Great.
questions from our Facebook friends. Adrian, he's saying Shane, don't only talk about the benefits, talk about the disadvantages as well, as emails and software related to financial instruments like these could be hacked. That's one question that you could answer. And then the other one is, would small businesses be able to offer this service to their clients, and who can be contacted to get on board?
So I'm going to
Mr.
take the last
Okay,
question first, and then Stephen is going to take the security one.
there you
Well,
go.
small businesses can actually access money even as this is going on. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to register. You just go to your favorite app store, whether it be Google Play or the App Store. You download money by Bitt. That's the wallet application. And if you're a business and you want to get the merchant application, you just type in money merchant. You can also visit our website and we can make that available for you. Stephen, we
And
can we
money
can
BB.
make that. Yes, money BB. You can access it on our website and you can actually download the applications directly from the website. It takes, as I mentioned, about 2 to 3 minutes to complete the entire application process, and you can immediately start to do transactions once you've onboarded. And also, I've also put together a course, and money for MSMEs, that is available, where that kind of basically walks you through the process and introduces you to how the merchant application works as well as how the wallet application works. So it's really intuitive. And we also have an excellent sales team that can help merchants on
Uh,
board if they need help. And there's also the e-commerce
okay.
plugin.
All right. Let's try to
Oh,
get
sorry,
Mr.
sorry.
Phillips to
Sure.
answer, to respond to that question, the first part of that question quickly for the viewer.
Right. Okay. So as I understood it, the question was around security and looking at the risk. And of course, with any digital infrastructure, like email, as we were talking about, there is some risk. But at Bitt and leveraging our technology, we've spent a lot of time ensuring that we can guarantee security as much as possible. Another key factor is also the fact that the identity of all the individuals that transact on our networks is known. So what that means is you don't have anonymous users who can somehow run off with your funds. Everything is tracked. It's on an immutable blockchain. The records are there should law enforcement need to get involved. It's still a very secure form of payment. It's not some of the risks that you would contemplate with other forms of electronic payment are not there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Stephen Phillips, Vice President, Special Projects with Bitt Inc. And we also heard from Sade Jemmott, General Counsel with Bitt Inc. Thank you both so much for shedding some light on this. And we look forward to hearing about that launch when you go live with that Eastern Caribbean Central Bank digital currency. And certainly in the countries that will benefit, we will watch and we will share. Thank you so much for sharing with us at this time.
Thank you for having us. Cheers.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Pleasure. All right. So, Shane, some interesting developments there, and it's happening right here. I mean, we're taking hold of the situation in the region and doing what needs to be done. So we're going to take a break, and more good stuff coming our way before news.